Hi, my name is Thomas Gibbs with U.S. Franchise Visa, and in this video we will discuss the franchise opportunity supporting strategies with Vice President of Franchise Development, Steve Schultz. Steve came to supporting strategies with over 25 years of management experience in operations and sales, working in both startups and multinational corporations, including Digital Equipment Corporation and IBM. Steve was the co-founder of and president of Carotech, a mid-size computer peripheral distributor serving the Western European market, as well as the co-founder of Splash Auto Washes. Steve led both organizations to successful acquisition. Steve has been a professor of international operations and Six Sigma quality control at both WPI and New England College. He holds an MBA from the University of Massachusetts in Lowell and a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from the University of Massachusetts in Lowell. Steve, thank you for being on the call today.
Thank you. I appreciate that introduction. It's nice to talk to you and to tell you about our brand and to see if we can help educate you and your group about what we do here at Supporting Strategies. I always love this opportunity to talk to people. We're looking to grow our business, and we grow our business by finding the right franchisees. So let's get into it. You know, before we really understand the franchise model, it's very important to understand what Supporting Strategies does. And we're bookkeepers. You know, bookkeeping has traditionally been done in the United States and across the world by bookkeepers. So what is bookkeeping? You know, it's transactional accounting. This isn't tax work. It's not financial services like selling equities. This is the actual work that all businesses need to do the work of doing their business. So we pay bills and we pay people. We recognize revenue. We go through a month-end close process in which we reconcile all the appropriate accounts, and we give our clients audit-ready financial statements at the end of each month. You know, in the United States, really, since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, a bookkeeper has been a job, somebody that comes into your office one day a week or one day a month, full-time or part-time, depending on how big your business is. These are actually transactional financial services. Writing bills, paying people, invoicing clients, and collecting those receivables. Traditionally, in very large companies, that's done by an entire group of people. But for most of our clients, and we define our client as a typical client being $1 to $10 million in revenue, under 100 employees, we don't sell our services to publicly traded companies, and we don't sell our services to nail salons or sub shops or very small companies. It's mid-market, 1 to 10 million in revenue or more, under 100 employees. And to give you a little historical context about what we're doing, think about payroll. You know, 30 years ago, every company in America had a payroll clerk. Today, every company uses ADP or Paychex or Zen Payroll or Zenefits or something of that nature. The job of payroll clerk doesn't exist anymore, and that same shift is happening in bookkeeping. Today, we deliver 100% of our services virtually. We never visit our clients' locations, and we use some very clever processes to gather both the paper and the electronic documents so we can be a better resource to a company rather than coming into their office and doing that. You know, payroll tends to say they're faster and better and cheaper than doing it yourself. We believe by being virtual, we can say the same thing. We save our clients money. As a matter of fact, our typical client spends about $10,000 a year with us. That's a lot less than you would pay for a bookkeeper in Boston or in Phoenix or really anywhere else in the world. Whether it's a part-time or a full-time bookkeeper, you'd spend a lot more than that. Because we built a completely virtual environment, a very unique type of employee works for us. I call them MBA moms. And while not all moms are MBAs, that tells a story of an advanced accounting professional who works for us because we let them work from home. That's powerful. But what's nice about this business model is that it's a real scalable business model. I think of our business as an enterprise. We got started in Boston in 2004. That office today did over $4 million in sales last year, that one office, with over $1 million on the bottom line, EBITDA, profit. With 55 employees, and all those employees work from home. We built what we think of as a variable cost, recurring revenue model. And that's what people really like about this business. Variable costs, we pay those people when they work. When they don't work, we don't really have to pay them. Recurring revenue, because we don't lose our clients from year to year. This isn't a consulting engagement. This is ongoing financial services. When they don't need us to pay their bills anymore or pay their people anymore, they call that bankruptcy. So we grow and we get bigger from year to year. It's a really nice business model. It's a very big sector to be getting into. Do your homework. If you do your homework, you're going to see the sector you want to be in the United States is business-to-business sales, business-to-business services. And look who makes up the biggest sector of this market. It's payroll services, because everybody needs payroll. And the same thing could be said for bookkeeping. This $145 billion market is growing by over $10 billion a year. This is a big market. There isn't a company in the United States, or anywhere else for that matter, that doesn't need to do our services. Whether they do them themselves or hire someone to do them, they need to do bookkeeping. So bookkeeping is poised to capture the growth of this market. This business has a very low initial investment. You're going to pay us $60,000. That's our franchise fee. But most of our franchisees run this business from their home. It's a home-based business, so it has very low overhead. And most of the costs are directly tied to revenue. As I mentioned, when our employees are working, we're billing the clients for that time. When they're not working, because they all work from home, we don't have a lot of cost associated with them. And it is a recurring revenue model, so it has very high earnings potential. You can make a lot of money in this business without having to build buildings and buy friolators. I do weekly webinars like this one, in which I educate you about my brand and about the industry and about our offerings. We do a monthly discovery day where you can hear from our leadership team. We are listed on the SBA registry. You can qualify for Small Business Association financing. I'm very proud of the fact that we're ranked by the Franchise Business Review as one of the top 50 franchises in the country. We hire an independent third-party company to survey us every year. And then we look at those results, and this is how we find out what we need to improve on, what we're doing good at and what we're doing bad at. But when you compare us to every other franchise in the industry, we're one of the top franchises. We've grown to over 95 locations in our first 5 years. We're one of the fastest growing franchises in the country, and we're very proud of that. I think it's because people like our business model. They like that they can build what feels like an enterprise, an annuity, a recurring revenue stream without having to build buildings and buy friolators. But I'm looking for a very unique type of person. All of our franchisees are smart. You know, they understand finance. They probably have a degree in accounting or finance. They know the difference between a balance sheet and a P&L. They know the difference between cash and accrual-based counting. They know how businesses run. They know how to manage people. They've managed people before. I'm not looking for you to be a bookkeeper. I'm looking for you to manage a team of bookkeepers. You'll be hiring your own MBA moms. We find them for you, but you're going to be hiring them. And you have to have the willingness and the ability to do business development. You know, I'm not going to ask you to knock on the doors of small businesses, but rather I'm going to ask you to build relationships with CPAs and CFOs and bankers and lawyers and benefits brokers. These are the people who become our referral engine, and we support all of this. We support management and service delivery and business development. We have a marketing team, an operations team, a talent team that supports you in all the things you need to do to be successful. You also need enough cash to make it through that first runway, that year. It's going to take you a year to get this business started. Let's take a look at our dream calculator. This is not an earnings claim. I'm not telling you buy this business, make this much money. This is our pro forma P&L. This is our expectation for our franchisees. The basis here says after month 6, after you've gone through some training and built your network, you're going to start to get 2 clients a month, with a typical client being defined as under 10,000, under 100 employees, spending $10,000 a year with you. 2 of those a month. Straight line for the first 5 years is going to build you to about $1 million run rate in year 5. We have sustained 40% margins throughout the network, and I'm going to share this data with you. I'm going to show you the actual performance of every one of my franchisees, and you're going to see that you can make 39% gross margin. Well, 50% of the money goes to your employees, 10% royalty comes to us. 40% gross margin, 25 to 35% net margin, not a lot on that bottom line. This is what people like about this business. You can see year 1's basically a break-even business. Starts to really perform nicely in years 2 through 5 and beyond. We have franchisees who have outperformed this model. As a matter of fact, my average first-year franchisee does $88,000 a year. So you can do better than this. I've had people do as much as $250,000 in their first year. You can grow this business. I'm going to show you the actual performance of every one of our franchisees. That's a nice business. You guys would all be happy with year 5. We got to get you there. That's the challenge. You know, this is an educational process. I don't try to sell to you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to find out if you're a good fit for me. This whole process can take 4 to 6 weeks. I can go faster or slower, depending on how fast or slow you want to go. There's a bunch of webinars I'm going to introduce you to. I'm going to ask you to fill out a franchise application. Take a predictive index test, which is going to compare your personality profile to that of our average franchisee. We're going to talk in detail about business development, about the technology, what we call our virtual key. I'll be personally introducing you to our CEO, our director of talent. We'll be modeling your territory. I'll be validating with other franchisees by introducing you to them. So you can ask them questions like, are you glad you did it? Is it a good investment? And I'll get you a franchise application for your review. So that's all I've really got to share with you today. I'd like you, Tom, to ask me any questions that you might have, and we can see how we can explore this opportunity further. But I'd love the opportunity to work with you people.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. You know, a lot of the time candidates are looking at, you know, the most common categories, restaurants, fitness, things of that nature. And commonly we're looking at investments that are $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, and those are basically sunk costs, and then you got to add operating capital on top of that. And when you start looking at a business model that has a low startup cost and real potential to scale, you know, in a restaurant, if you want to scale, what do you got to do? You got to open another location. In this business, you get more bookkeepers, right?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. And, you know, my brand is not going to be interesting to most people. You know, you don't need any special skill to open up a yogurt stand, a sub shop, a mosquito squad. There's a lot of great brands that are very good for the everyman. We're looking for a very unique person. You know, that person who has finance background, not a CPA, but understands business. That you understand how a business runs. You have management experience. You've managed people before. That's not for everybody. And you have the ability and the want, the desire to go ahead and focus in on business development. But to the right person, my business feels very comfortable. You know, to a person that spent most of their career doing business finance of some sort, this business is very, very comforting to people because they understand it, you know. So to the right person, it's a great fit. To the wrong person, it's like a foreign language.
No, that makes a lot of sense. We're not looking for everyone. Certainly need someone with those qualifications. Tell us a little bit about how, because this is really more of a manager role for the franchisee, tell us how the interaction is between the franchisee and most of the bookkeepers?
Yeah. So, first of all, that's what we're great at today. You know, we've got over 400 employees, and every one of them works from home. We don't have an office anywhere in this country. You can see in the background, if you're seeing my screen or my camera, that I'm in my home. We all work out of our home offices, and we've become expert in how to manage virtual teams. We built our own software where all of our employees log in every day, and everything they need to do to complete the task at hand is made visible to them. The task that's due and the information they need to complete the task. And you, the franchisee, can see what's going on. Why is this task late? Why is this task overdue? How come this one's still in process? And you can reach out using technology solutions to your team. We share screens, we Skype them, we can have conversations, we can ask a quick question, or we can text them. We have technology solutions that connect us as an organization, but that's the strength of us. What we found is when you let people work from home, you get very powerful people working for you. I couldn't hire MBAs or CPAs to do bookkeeping if I told them they had to come into an office every day. They wouldn't do it. But by being virtual, we get better people. But that takes a certain skill set. We use technology to connect, no different than you would connect if they were sitting in the same office with you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That certainly makes retention quite a bit better, I'd imagine, for those employees because the lifestyle.
You know, it's not all about money. You know, they're working for us for a reason. It might be because they want to put their kid on a school bus, get them off of the school bus. It might be because they love to golf or they like to hike. You know, it's a lifestyle component. And once you get the right lifestyle people, that's when your retention goes up.
Do you think it would be fair to say that the franchisee could run this business a certain percent of the time from just their smartphone, maybe 50% of the time from their smartphone?
No. Although all of our applications are web enabled and work fine on a smartphone. I prefer a tablet, okay, to really see. Remember, we're asking, it's a big job, you know, so we're asking people, and we manage the technology that you use. For every employee you hire, including yourselves, we're going to send you a technology stack that lets you get into all the data. Remember what we're doing. We're doing complex financial services. And, you know, we're paying bills and paying people. And generally, if you look at an accountant type, they don't have a smartphone. They have 3 monitors on their desk, right? And they got a Excel spreadsheet over here. They've got a balance sheet and a P&L over here. And so while you can do some of this work, especially the sales-related aspects from a smartphone, and I do all the time, I do think it's a little bit more complex than that. So, you know, you can do the sales stuff from your phone, but it's easier with a full keyboard and mouse. So I tend to work on an iPad more than I work on my iPad or a laptop computer that I travel with.
Okay, great. And then, you know, obviously you mentioned the first year, you know, that franchisee is doing a lot of business development, working with CPAs and bankers. And do you guys provide training on, you know, how to approach those relationships?
Yeah, you know, every one of the aspects of this business we provide training for, whether it's service delivery, team management, and we give services for them as well. We find your employees for you. You know, we manage the IT for your employees. But we also have a real program around business development. I meet with our franchisees every week for a sales training session. We partnered with another brand. You might know them, Tom. They're called Sandler Training, Sandler Sales. And every one of our incoming franchisees must take a Sandler Sales training course as part of our requirements in the franchise agreement. We want you to be better salespeople. You're technical salespeople. I was a very good salesman for IBM, not because I'm a good salesman, but because I'm a good engineer. I understood the technology I was selling. So to the right franchisee, they're going to understand finance, so they're going to become very good salespeople at finance because they know what questions to ask.
That's wonderful. Yeah, Sandler is another company we're familiar with. Great trainers. in their
Yeah.
category. Definitely
Yeah.
know
Great.
how to make it happen. Okay, so we're going to get that for some training, and let's say now we're about a year in. We've got a network. We've got some people that refer to us. We've got clients. We've got employees. What are we doing on a daily basis that takes us
Yeah.
from a handful of clients to dozens and dozens of clients and have really built a successful enterprise?
So the job reaches a level of equilibrium. Early in the game, it's all business development, isn't it? Because we have no clients and we have no employees. But the job will reach a level of equilibrium where each day our franchisees spend some amount of time on team management, some amount of time on client service excellence, and some amount of time on business development. In the long run, business development is 25 to 28 hours a week, every week, and you should expect that you're going to do that for at least 5 years to build this business to that $1 million franchise. That's going to networking groups and business events. That's doing one-on-ones. It's traditional business development. And again, we're going to show you that during the discovery process. I'm going to show you a day in the life of a supporting strategies franchisee so you can see that up close. But it does reach that equilibrium. So you should figure that 25 to 28 hours a week is spent on business development in an ongoing fashion. Again, it's going to one networking group like a BNI a week, 2 events, chamber events, or any type of events. We want you to meet 6 new people in your region every single week. We want you to have one-on-one meetings with those people. And then we have a real program on how you develop them. And we will get into the nuts and bolts of that. It's like a treadmill. It's like losing weight. You got to get on that treadmill every day. You got to do the work. Sales is work.
Yeah, building the right habits to build the business.
Yeah. And that's what you should be thinking about. A business owner should always be thinking, where is my next client coming from?
Yeah, and then how do we add substantial value to retain them and keep them happy and have them so happy they want to refer their friends and let us add value to them as well.
Right.
Steve, this is great. Obviously a wonderful opportunity to come to America and really establish a great business. I find that a lot of our candidates are looking for opportunities that are of a lower cost in general. Would you share what that total investment might look like?
Yeah, sure. Generally, it's a $60,000 franchise fee. You're going to spend around $10,000 on insurance. You are going to run this business from your own home. I tell people that the total investment is between $77,000 and $110,000 a year, for the first year, and then you get to that break even. But I really want you to add an additional runway. I want you to make sure you have enough time to develop this business. So what is your personal take for the first year? Well, you're not going to earn that, so that's part of the investment. So if you need $150,000 to live your life in the city that you're going to be living, or whatever that number is, add that to the $100,000 that you should have to get started. There's not a lot of other costs here. It's a virtual business. I'm going to spend a lot of time with you going through all of those costs. It's very important to me that you're well capitalized. I like to think you should have $150K in working capital, to be able to get through that first year, and a decent net worth.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, Steve, would you maybe mind wrapping us up with a story about a franchisee that's maybe been in the system for a year or two, or maybe even 3 or 4 years that maybe started slow and now has really started delivering a lot of value, or maybe someone that came right out of the gate real quick and just kind of impressed you?
Sure, and thank you for that opportunity. And, before I tell you a story, I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to us today. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. You can go through Tom, and he'll provide the introductions to me. We are looking for, as I mentioned, people with financial services backgrounds who have managed people. We had a wonderful franchisee come out of one of the big four accounting firms in the United States. This is professional accounting firms, PwC, Ernst & Young. He was making a lot of money living in a very urban setting, and had a small kid. His wife was also a partner in one of these large multinational accounting firms, and they were making a lot of money, but they weren't loving their life. And they bought a home in a rural area. They spent their first year, they had almost no sales. The wife started a bow business, selling bows online, and the husband started supporting strategies. He spent most of his first year connecting his kids to the school system, building a house, getting known, talking to people, telling people while he was enthusiastic what he was excited about. He knew nobody in this region. It was very different culturally from what he was used to. He used to live in Washington, D.C. Now he's down in the deep South. He wanted to connect more with his family. Today, he's one of the leaders of our team. His second year knocked it out of the park, over $180,000 in revenue. After a first year, we only did about $2,000 because he was focused more on his family. After his third year, he's close to $700,000 in revenue and just been crushing it, but more importantly, enjoying what he's doing, enjoying the time he has with his small daughter, to spend time with his wife, who's now getting involved in the business as well. So it's a lifestyle business. It's a business that's going to let you achieve, but let you live your life as you see fit. You control your schedule. You control your calendar. You live. Our CEO just took her 3 small children to a tour of Europe for 3 months and still worked 18 hours a day.
It's very true for a lot of our viewers that, the cultural shift will be pretty significant. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the Deep South and Washington, D.C., they're pretty extremely different. Same country, same, United States of America, but you have 2 very different cultures. And for someone to go start a business there, I would go as far as to say that would be no different from coming from any treaty country and moving into America, given the fact that there's quite the change. So if someone like that can accomplish that kind of revenue and the lifestyle that you're talking about, I wouldn't doubt that someone with the right experience and motivation could do the same.
Yeah, and we have a guy. We just sold our Miami, Florida territory to a guy from Mexico. What a value for him, because Miami is a Hispanic-speaking place. He speaks the language of the people who are in business in that community, and he also speaks English really well. What a skill and a power that he has. So, we like to bring diversity into our organization. We're looking forward to meeting you. Again, thank you for the time. And thank you, Thomas, for this opportunity. This was wonderful.
It's our pleasure. If you'd like to learn more about supporting strategies, feel free to reach out to us at usfranchisevisa.com, or you can see Steve's contact information there, steve@supportingstrategies.com. Again, thanks for listening to the call. I hope it's been of value to you.
Yeah, and I do recommend you go through Thomas first, connect with him, and he'll make the proper introductions and set up that first call.
Great. Thank you for that, Steve. And thank you again for listening, and thank you for being on the call.